Hey everyone, welcome back to Cooking with Calvin. Today we are going to continue our journey on breads. So we're doing something pretty similar recipe to the pretzels, just a couple variants, which you'll find when you do most of these breads. Is same basis, but just a couple of different ingredients and stuff. So what we have in front of me is I have 3.5 cups of flour. I have 1.5 teaspoons of sea salt. I have 1 package of rapid rise instant yeast. I have 1.5 teaspoons of granulated sugar. I got 1 egg. I have 1/4 cup of milk with 2 tablespoons of butter. I have 1 cup of water, and then I have my egg wash over here. So, same basic things that we've learned before is the temperature of our water, in order for it to be a conducive habitat for the yeast, is between 105 and 110 degrees. So let's get that yeast into there, right into the water. Let's give it a little bit of sugar to feed on and craze on. Make sure everything's incorporated, and then all of the yeast should be activated basically right away. You'll be able to smell it. It should start foaming right at the surface. Both of those things are good indicators that we are in good shape. Okay. Now that both those things are happening, let's put that off to the side. And then again, just like our other videos, let's get flour all whisked up so we can incorporate some air, make it easier for us to mix with. And so what we want to do next is we have all of the air incorporated into our flour. Let's get all of our sea salt just mixed into there. Also, while we're at it, just break up our egg. Now, so we talked about water temperature and conducive habitat for the yeast, which is also what we're trying to do with our butter and our milk. So we're using whole milk. You just heat up the milk a little bit, that'll melt the butter into it. Now what we can do is we can get this right into our yeast mixture. That's all mixed up. Our yeast has been fully blossomed. What we'll do is we're going to start adding in some of the dry ingredients. Go a couple scoops, mix in the flour. We will have an opportunity later on to get our hands into it. Now this recipe will also work if you wanted to go whole wheat flour. Basically swap out the flour for any other flour. Make different variations on it. We could also get fresh herbs into this if we want to season up the bread. But it's really perfect to make these brioche sliders during the summertime. You could also, we're just cutting them small. You could also make them large enough for hamburgers if you wanted full-size buns. but it really does not take much time to make these specific ones. Get the rest of the flour into there. Probably at this point, what I usually do is just go for my hands in there. If you're doing it in a stand mixer, you would switch over to a dough hook at this point. I mean, once it's a solid mass, you can actually just get it right out onto the surface. Scrape down the bowl. Just press it out all flat. Because the next thing that we want to do is we want to start folding the egg into it. So once you have it spread out as wide as you can, let's get the egg right on it. And we just want to fold everything towards the center, trap that egg in it. And then it'll leak out the sides, that's all right. As it starts coming out more, get some flour on your hand, flour onto your surface. Keep flouring as needed. This does tend to be a stickier dough than most. You still want to get it to the same point. I'm gonna cut it for a second. We're just gonna keep flouring as needed. Don't go overboard with the flour because it really is a stickier than usual dough. So you're gonna be tempted. But the best way to do it is to just flour your hand and a light dusting on top. So now that we have it sticky, it's not sticking completely to our hands. Now we want to go into kneading. And this will probably be, depending on how fast you move, 6 to 8 minutes. As it's sticking to the table, let's dust our surface, dust our hands. You're just doing the same motion. Flipping it, bringing it back towards yourself, pressing forward. All right, so we've kneaded it, good test. You just press against it. And you don't want it to stick to you. You want it to stick to your finger a little bit, but not pull when you pull your finger away. And you're also looking for it to bounce back. So we are basically there. So this one, you don't need to let it rest individually. What you're going to do is go straight into cutting it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take it, flatten it out just a little bit, and then we're gonna go cut it straight in half. We can lift this up just to make it a little bit easier. And half and half. do that for both sides. What we want to do, we're going to get our baking sheet over here. I'm going to get the oven preheated to 400 degrees. And then what we're doing here, we're just grabbing this bottom side, we're flipping all the edges towards the center. And then sealing up the seam on the bottom. So it is a nice ball. Press it down just a little bit. You can do the same for the rest of them. All right, so now that we have all of our slider buns prepared, what we're gonna do is just cover it with a clean kitchen towel. Put it right there, and then that's just gonna rise for a quick 15 minutes. Then we're gonna put our egg wash right on top. So our egg wash is just 1 egg and a tablespoon of milk. So we're gonna whip that up, oven at 400 degrees, get this onto it right before it goes in, and then it's gonna be, check it at about 12 minutes, but it's usually about 13 to 15 minutes. All right, so we took them out. I always go a little bit less. I don't like my bread to be that well done. So I ended up taking it out at 12 minutes, but you could do a couple more minutes and you'd still have the same good effect. But that's it. You want a nice, light, fluffy. You should be able to pull them apart. You should see all of that in the center. And you could also, for a little bit extra, once you put the egg wash on, sprinkle a little bit of extra sea salt on it, because this dare is on the side of not too salty, since you are going to be putting it with various meats or cheeses and everything. But a little touch of sea salt right on top before baking just makes a difference. And other than that, I will see you guys next time.